Greetings and salutations, my lovely little Bytelings. My name is Wiggy, and today I'll be going over what I believe are fun MMORPGs that are generally unheard of by a large majority of people, and generally have a small or pretty non-existent player base. Nevertheless, they are still fun and mostly unique free-to-play MMORPGs. So yeah, none of these MMORPGs are buy-to-play or pay-to-play. They are completely free-to-play. Therefore, if something catches your eye, you're capable of playing it right now. And of course, a quick question before we continue on to my list. What do you believe is the most unique MMORPG you've ever played? Let me know in the comments below. And let's see if it's on this list. This is a very unique MMORPG and a very old one that surprisingly not many people actually know of. So A Tale in a Desert doesn't actually have combat. This MMORPG isn't about killing monsters, it's about creating a world or community. So in A Tale in a Desert, to become a better player, instead of trying to level up, you instead need to complete tests, which will make you more proficient in specific areas, like architecture, body, leadership, etc. Once you've completed these tests, you advance in rank, generally making your life easier. Your rank can be upgraded all the way till Oracle. Once you've reached this rank, you can build a monument. A Tale in a Desert's world isn't constant like that of other MMORPGs, because after a certain amount of time, they wipe the content that's being created, which is referred to as tellings. Now, some of you guys may have heard about this MMORPG before, but it's definitely a unique and generally unheard of game, at least in regards to newer MMORPG players. Grenada Espada is a fantasy MMORPG with, I guess, some RTS mixed in. Unlike in other traditional MMORPGs, Grenada Espada allows you to control 3 characters at any given time. Each character has their own class and skills/stances that you control, as you can swap between any of the 3 characters. This also allows you to go through 3 lives, essentially, as you don't technically die if one of your characters ends up dying. This isn't the only good thing about Grenada Espada, however, as it has a very unique art style, fantastic musical scores, and while you can have 3 party members, you can change them whenever you want, and even unlock NPC cards and use them in your team. Grenada Espada is definitely a unique, fun MMORPG that's been forgotten in the mass horde of generic MMORPGs. To start off, Sphere 3, unlike most MMORPGs released, is Russian made. Although while it's made from a Russian company, it's in complete English. So what exactly is Sphere 3 all about? Well, it's an action fantasy MMORPG, therefore there's no tab target combat, which is nice, as there isn't a lot of open world MMOs with action combat out there right now. Granted, it's not the smoothest combat, but it's still pretty good and enjoyable. While Sphere 3 has a focus around PvP and castle sieges, there's still a lot of PvE content with dungeons, raids, and general story content. Going back onto the sieges for a moment, this is one of Sphere 3's key features, as you can attack castles and take them over, or defend your own castle. Although don't expect this MMORPG to be easy, as there's no healer in this game, and the monsters are, well, very punishing. Sphere 3 is a fun MMORPG with players still actively playing it that are friendly. Granted, a small amount of players, but players nevertheless. Do note though that Sphere 3 isn't very polished, so if you're looking for something that plays like a AAA title, Sphere 3 isn't the MMORPG for you. Night Online, or USKO, as it is commonly referred to, is an older MMORPG and was released in the NA market in 2004, so don't expect this to have fantastic graphics. In Night Online, you have 2 factions at war, the Humans and Co. versus Orcs and their allies, which allows for world PvP. Now you start off with a basic class, which you'll stay until reaching level 10. Once 10, your class will advance to the next stage until level 60, where it will advance again. Now, unlike other MMORPGs listed so far, Night Online has a larger player base, as I can personally say that while playing this game myself, I encountered many people. Not just AFK people in stalls, but running around and doing quests. So there is at least new players still joining, which is a good sign for any MMORPG. Night Online has its focus on PvP related content, with Luna Wars, Castle Sieges, and Battlefields. Besides this, Night Online plays similarly to most older MMORPGs with tap target combat. Although I will point out that some of the user base believe that it can be a pay-to-win game. Whether or not Night Online is or is not, I can't say, as I have no personal experience regarding Night Online's cash shop, and the statement is divided among the player base. Although I will say it's still pertinent information, and that is the reason why I'm mentioning it here now. Now, you may have heard of Dream of Mirrors Online, or Domo, before, as it was originally an Area Games title. But since 2012, that's no longer the case. Domo was originally shut down in 2012 and didn't come back to any market for that matter till 2015 on Steam. All thanks to many fans wanting the opportunity to play this classic game again. Domo is a cel-shaded-esque anime-inspired MMORPG where you can pick between 4 playable races to begin your journey with. Now, like with a lot of MMORPGs on this list, Domo is a dated game and has dated controls, but it makes up for this dated control scheme with some nice features and a small yet dedicated player base. Some of the features are as follows. Marriage. While not being a unique feature anymore, as a lot of games seem to add this in now, it's still nice to have in games. However, getting married or even becoming someone's mentor isn't just for bragging rights or the title. It also gives you in-game benefits. Then there's flying and flying mounts, crafting, treasure hunting, and profession swapping. Domo is a rather unknown, fun anime MMORPG that's a little clunky going by today's standards, but if you can get past this, you'll no doubt enjoy yourself. Rohan is a fantasy MMORPG that was released in 2008 by YNK Interactive. Rohan, even though it was released a while ago, still holds up well in regards to character models and graphics. Granted, nothing fancy, but still pretty good. Now, Rohan plays similarly to most fantasy MMORPGs. You explore around, you take quests, fight against monsters and other players. However, there's a special feature regarding guilds in Rohan, which allows you to control regions within the game world. Once you own a specific area, you can battle against other guilds, and even tax said area. This feature isn't exactly an uncommon feature in MMORPGs nowadays, but it's still worth pointing out. There are 7 races in Rohan that are playable, which are human, elf, half-elf, Dark Elf, and forgive my pronunciation, Decon or Decon, Dawn, and the Giants. These races, however, can only be specific classes, so you can't, for instance, be a healing half-elf or a giant that uses a crossbow or bow. A quick note, there have been people to say that Rohan is now a pay-to-win title, at least going by the comments on our videos. So while I don't have any personal experience with this game, it's worth mentioning, so if you decide to try out this obscure MMORPG, you've at least been warned about it. Disregarding whether or not it's pay to win, as I can't give an accurate opinion regarding it, Rohan Blood Feud seems like a fun fantasy MMORPG, even if it's a little bit slow. So as you can probably already tell, Wonderland Online doesn't look like your average MMORPG. Well, it doesn't play like one either. To start off, Wonderland Online is an anime-inspired 2D turn-based MMORPG, where you start off as a shipwrecked survivor. Wonderland's world imitates our own, with countries being represented in the game world, like England, Greece, Japan, and Egypt. While it's more realistic, Wonderland still has its fantasy elements. It still has magic and etc. Wonderland is a very story-driven game with tons and tons of dialogue and recruitable party members. While you do have your own members that fight with you in the turn-based combat, you can still party up with other players. However, as soon as you do join a party, only the party leader can control where you go, and you, in essence, just follow along. In essence, Wonderland Online is a traditional RPG game that's online. And while the player base is low, as it's been around for years now, it still has a friendly and dedicated community of people playing. It's a very time-consuming MMORPG, but if you're looking for something different, Wonderland might be the MMORPG for you. Dungeon Hero, or Hero of the Obelisk, as it was originally called, is an anime-inspired action MMORPG where you take on the role as a hero, ready to take down evil monsters, tackle dungeons, and of course the MMORPG classic, take menial tasks, aka quests. Joking aside, Dungeon Hero is a relatively unheard of MMORPG that has surprisingly smooth action combat and fantastic anime graphics. Although it may not appeal to everyone, considering the anime style it has, which is chibi. Dungeon Hero isn't just a dungeon crawler, however, as you can do instance dungeons, as the name implies. However, there's also open areas filled with monsters, where you can see people fighting and completing quests. So it's not a full dungeon crawler MMORPG, it's just, I guess, a hybrid. Because everything within Dungeon Hero is styled cute and chibi, I can see some people finding this MMORPG repetitive, but it's definitely worth trying at least once if you actually enjoy action MMORPGs, as it's got some pretty smooth combat. Loong Online is a Chinese wuxia-themed fantasy MMORPG. Loong Online, or however you actually pronounce it, doesn't actually have any classes. Instead, you've got weapons and weapon skill trees that determine the skills you use in the general combat. Loong Online has a vast world, tons of quests to complete, some rewarding, some plain, and some tedious. Pets in Loong also function differently than the ones found in most MMORPGs, because while you have some pets that just generally derp around following you along your journey, the others are actually mounts. These mounts return to pet forms when not in use, which is a small feature, granted, but hey, I think it's pretty cool. Loong Online also has full world PvP, which to some is a downer, as you will no doubt encounter people who just grief you to no end. But Loong Online, the game itself, is actually a lot of fun, if you can get past the intricate skill/weapon system and the general lack of players. This is the only R-rated MMORPG on this list, and I guess one of the only R-rated MMORPGs still alive. Requiem Memento Mori is a gory game. It's filled with pixel violence, with monster limbs flying off as the enemy dies, or they just end up exploding. If you, the player, suffers too much damage, you will also be drenched in blood. Did I mention this game was gory? So, Requiem Memento Mori, or let's just call it Requiem, is an MMORPG set in a post-apocalyptic world that's overrun by deformed, mutated monsters. In Requiem, besides doing the normal things one does when playing MMORPGs, aka quests, grinding, exploring, and generally leveling up, you can also turn into a demon. What type of demon you turn into is dependent on what race you are. The classes within Requiem are locked behind specific races, however. Said races are Turan, which are technically the humans, I guess, the Bartuk, the Cruxena, and the Xenoa. These races can be 2 classes each, which can upgrade to another 4 once reaching level 50. Requiem is a strange, unique, and fun MMORPG. Don't let the dull visuals stop you from trying this one out. This is my list for the best obscure free-to-play MMORPGs. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. And as always, good day, night, or afternoon, wherever it is where you are, and I will see you guys in the next video.
We fell out of love like shooting stars came crashing down. we're building back up again now. I see your heart, see